guys? Welcome to the second LowKick MMA weekly roundup for the week. Today we'll be previewing UFC 263, Adesanya vs Vettori. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, here with Jordan Ellis. Jordan, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. We've got a pretty decent card to cover here. A lot of impressive fights. I know some of the bigger names on the card will stick out, but overall, this is a pretty exciting card from top to bottom. What do you think?
Really good card, and obviously we weren't meant to get the Nate Diaz Leon Edwards fight on this originally, so it just gets added to that. We've got two great rematches, especially the flyweight title fight. I'm really looking forward to, and then the return of Nate Diaz. So yeah, it's a really stacked card. I expect it to do big numbers, with multiple stars on this card, and yeah, I can't wait.
Absolutely, and we'll jump straight into it then. And at the top, we have Adesanya versus Vettori. A rematch this one. The first fight was in 2018, I believe, so 3 years ago. And both guys have really grown a lot since then. I know this has been covered extensively by everyone who's interviewed them. Both guys have changed a lot since then. But I think the fight could take a similar path in this one than it did in the first one. Personally, I believe that Vettori's keys to victory are going to be to grapple, whereas Adesanya is going to want to keep it range and tag him up. Do you think we get a finish in this fight, either side?
Yeah, I'm all on for Adesanya for this fight. I think, as you were saying, they've both come along, since the first fight. But I think Adesanya has gone a few levels above that. I think Vettori, he's a good fighter, but I think this title shot's probably coming a bit early. I don't think a win over Kevin Holland, who was just coming off a loss, should have got him a title shot. For me, I think he's a bit overly aggressive, and I think we see what happens when people are overly aggressive against Adesanya. They get knocked out. I think what Robert Whittaker can testify to that. Paulo Costa can. I think if he comes barraging forward and just looking to, close the gap, get the takedown or land some shots, I think he's going to get caught, and I expect Adesanya to take him out, with inside 3 rounds. I don't think that's really a popular pick, but that's what I see.
Look, I'll play devil's advocate here again, and we've seen Vettori and Gastelum both come forward on Izzy and be quite successful in doing so. So I don't think that Vettori's going to be too worried about coming forward, which could be his downfall, all things considered. I really think the difference maker in this fight is the duration that it goes. If Vettori can go out there, even if he can get early takedowns and win the first couple of rounds with ground control, I think personally he needs a finish, because if we saw in that Kevin Holland fight, he got tired towards the end there. And it looked like Holland might be able to land something in his own and swing the fight in his favor. Ultimately, he wasn't able to. But I feel like Adesanya, who's more of a technical striker, more conservative with his energy, is going to be better in those later rounds and is going to cause trouble if Vettori uses all his energy early to score the takedowns. What do you think?
Yeah, I do agree, and I think obviously we've seen Blachowicz get the takedowns and was able to control him, but there is a difference. No one's been able to do that at 185. I don't expect Vettori to be able to do it either. I don't think he's necessarily the best wrestler in the division. He is very good, but I don't expect him to be able to do that, and I think he's just going to run into something. And as you said, he's all energy, he's all anger and aggression, and it works for him. But I think in this fight, it could be his downfall. He could gas out. He could be a bit too hittable. And yeah, as I said, I do think it's a little bit early for him. I think he could have done with, another 1 or 2 fights against the top guys before getting this opportunity. But obviously, he's got to take it. It's such a huge opportunity, and he'll be, confident in himself no matter what. He thinks he won that first fight. I don't think he did, but it was competitive. So yeah, I am excited about the rematch. But for me, I don't really give Vettori much of a chance.
Yeah, it really was the right place at the right time for Vettori to get that win over Holland. Obviously, Whittaker was the number 1 pick to take the next title shot, but has to have hand surgery, won't be back for a little while, so Vettori gets it. I'm not condemning him in this fight like you are. I think Vettori has a pretty good chance. But my mind tells me Adesanya will be able to just pick him apart and ultimately find a finish. One thing I would bet on in this fight, and I'm pretty confident either side, I don't expect this to go to a decision. I really don't. I think that if Vettori's unable to get a finish early with his grappling, whether it be TKO or submission, I think he's going to gas himself out and Izzy's going to get him late. But with saying that, Israel could just find him early and put him away. So if you don't like seeing the judges with shitty scorecards, I don't think you have to worry in this one, because I don't see it again there.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think Adesanya's obviously lost a bit of his shine, after that last performance, and he's lost his undefeated record, and he didn't look great, did he? So I think a lot of people forget how good he is, especially at 185, and Vettori for me is just too hittable. Even that Holland fight, Holland was he was rubbish in that fight, wasn't he? We can all say that. But even then, he was getting caught. I think he got wobbled at one point, and I just don't think you can afford to take them chances and be so hittable against someone like Adesanya, who is he's a sniper, and he's so ruthless. And for me, he's beaten, knocked out, stopped better fighters than Vettori. And I as I said at the start, I think he's come, leaps and bounds on, whereas Vettori is still probably going through his progression as a MMA fighter. And as I say, I think it's just a little bit early, but Adesanya inside 3. I think all the hype's back on once he does this.
All right, well, we'll jump into the co-main event, which I think is it's going to be more of an even fight. I really can't make a pick in this one. I think the first fight between Figueiredo and Moreno was fireworks, obviously. I thought Moreno did enough to win it with that point deduction for Figueiredo, but obviously the draw, that's a fine decision because there was the point deduction, so you never want to see that in a fight. Who do you think takes in this rematch? A lot of people I've seen picking Figueiredo, not really giving Moreno much of a chance here, but I don't know. I feel like it could be a live underdog in this one.
Yeah, he's definitely a live dog. I think... Well, obviously, last time they only had 3 weeks to prepare, so literally no preparation coming off the back of the fight. So I was impressed by a lot of the stuff Figgy did in terms of his cardio, and he was able to keep it up for 5 rounds and all these things. And he was eating shots and things we hadn't seen yet from him in terms of his title defenses. I'd probably give him the edge in this one, though. I just feel like the full camp and the chance to, I think he'll have more respect for Moreno, and that'll translate into a better fight from himself. I think he'll pick his shots a bit more. He won't be seeking the knockout. And ultimately, I see it going to the cards again, but maybe a bit wider this time for Figgy. Hopefully, no point deductions. And that's how I see it. Obviously, I'm a big Moreno fan, and I'm definitely not writing him off. For me, it's a 50-50 fight. But if I have to make a pick, I think Figueiredo by decision.
Look, that's a safe pick. I would probably, if I was taking Figueiredo in this one, I'd probably take him by finish. I don't know why. I just have an inclination he might find the finish here. But Moreno did look fantastic in that fight. And the one thing that stood out was the wrestling ability of Moreno. He was able to take Figueiredo down. I know they had some good scrambles, but when they were on the ground, it seemed that Moreno had a bit of an edge there. So I wonder if he goes back to that a lot more in this rematch, because he had success getting him down. It wasn't like he couldn't get him down. If he stands with Figueiredo in their first fight, yes, they were both coming off 3 weeks, so you can take what you want from that. I really think Figueiredo finds it something to put him away if they stand and bang for 5 rounds. Even if they stand for a couple of rounds, he's got so much power in his hands, and we've seen it on multiple occasions. So I think Moreno, if he wants to get this one, is probably going to want to use his grappling, at least to mix up the striking. He can't be there standing for the whole 5 rounds. He's going to get caught. I will take Figueiredo as well, but I think he finds a finish in this one.
Yeah, I do agree in terms of Moreno's route to victory. I think it's on the floor. The problem is I don't necessarily think he'll take that route. I think that's the way he could get it done. Heavy wrestling game. Get some scrambles going. Hopefully lock up some type of submission. But I think he's quite comfortable on the feet. And even though that's the problem, I think Figueiredo is just a bit more comfortable, a bit more powerful, as you said. I don't think Moreno is getting knocked out, in terms of cold, anything like that. You could potentially see a referee stepping in if he's taking a bit too much damage, and that's why I don't really see a stoppage. But other than that route, so yeah, it's tough. Both men have got the chance to go away and figure out a game plan. They've seen everything the other guys got, as we've picked up on. The wrestling there is there for Moreno. His team have probably picked on that. Is that something they want to do, or they just want to go out there and bang with him again? So I think Moreno hurt him a couple of times as well. So it's not like he's unknockoutable. It's not like he's made a granny. He can be hit. He can be hurt. He's still a relatively new champion in the UFC, and I think his last loss was 2019. So he's not John Jones. He's not some Anderson Silva type figure. He can be beat. I think he'll just get edged out, Moreno. I'm just edging towards Figueiredo.
Okay, well, someone who seems to be made of granite in the last few years, Nate Diaz takes on Leon Edwards right before that fight in a 5-round fight at welterweight, which is weird because it's not a main event or a co-main event. But hey, I'm happy to see this go 5 rounds, and I think the longer distance probably favors Edwards some more. What do you think about that?
Well, first off, I love the 5 round. I think we should have more 5-round fights. It doesn't have to just be main events. When it's a number 1 contenders fight, or it's 2 of the the best in the division fighting each other. So I I think we should have 5-round fights. One doesn't come off the top of my head, but if we've got two of the best in the division, potentially looking at a title shot, you should just make it 5 rounds wherever it is on the card. So that's what I prefer to see. And so I love this. I think this is a number one contender fight. But if for me, it's all on Edwards. This is a brilliant fight for him to get. I don't think Diaz has got it like he used to have it. I think Edwards is going to take him out.
I don't know about... So you think there's a finish? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can only take so much, and this is levels to this. I know people high on Masvidal, but Leon Edwards is a better fighter than Jorge Masvidal. He just doesn't get the credit for it. He'll just be picking them apart, all right? He's not necessarily known as a puncher or anything like that, or even a finisher, but I think there's just a pure volume, the pure quality. It's just going to overwhelm him. And I was looking at the odds yesterday, and Leon is a huge favourite heading into this one. So I think just winning, it probably isn't enough for him to go and get a title shot. If he goes out there, rocks Diaz, actually stops him, that's a huge statement, and I think it's one he'll be wanting to make. Yeah,
of course he wants to make that statement. Leon Edwards is twice the striker Masvidal is, in my opinion. Technically, striker, I think he's better. If they fought, I would take Leon in that fight as well. So seeing what Masvidal was able to do to Diaz on the feet gives you so much confidence for Edwards in this fight. And I think he'll be able to do that. Whether he gets a finish, I'm not too sure about. I think he definitely, as like anyone can, he can definitely get a knockout, but I just don't see it happening. Diaz is shown to be so durable. I think Leon Edwards probably walks him down for the full 5, to be honest. Nate's route to victory is non-existent in this fight, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I think he'd be very lucky to find a win here, and I would eat my own words. But, how do you think Nate Diaz can get it done?
I think it's on the mat, and I think if obviously there is chances in the scrambles and things like that. He's a very talented, jiu-jitsu black belt, but he doesn't seem to like to use it unless it's, someone on top of him and then he gets that chance. Or but I don't think Edwards is even going to fear following him to the floor. I think we've seen that with, Conor McGregor and Masvidal. They didn't really want to jump into his guard, but I think I honestly feel like Edwards, because he's such a big guy as well. Masvidal's a natural 155er. That's where we've seen him a lot. Conor has done his best work at 145. Edwards couldn't get to them divisions, if he cut off a leg. So he is a huge guy. I feel like he's gonna have the size. He looks better than ever. And I feel like as soon as he gets on the floor, he's going to jump on him, and I think he's going to try and take him out. I don't think there's going to be much fear there of the BJJ game, but I do think that's the way. And obviously, Diaz's route to victory often is kind of drowning people, with his pressure, with his, his cardio. I don't see that being a problem either. So yeah, I am struggling to find a way for Diaz to win this fight, but obviously I'm sure a lot of people have said that before about Diaz in his fights, and then he goes and shuts everyone up. So don't be surprised.
Let's not forget how big an underdog he was going into that first McGregor fight, and he managed to pull that one off. So yeah, hopefully we see a shock upset. That'd be something to behold, but I really don't see it happening in that fight. One thing I will mention before we move on is Dana White has gone on record today. I think he was speaking to Submission Radio or maybe someone else, and he said Colby Covington will be next for the title at welterweight, and then obviously he didn't say, but I imagine the winner of this will be the fight after that. Do you think that's the right move, or do you think Edwards or Diaz should be next?
I think it depends how long we have them waiting. We've had this discussion about Robert Whittaker a few times, haven't we, in terms of if Robert Whittaker's ready to fight in July or whatever, he should get the next shot. But if he's not ready till November, December, then it's time to, pump the brakes. So that says to me what Dana's saying is that Usman and Covington are going to fight over the summer, and then the winner of this will get the shot in December or November. So that's fine by me. It's just if we're waiting till the end of the year for that. I think Covington is fine if he gets it now, but I don't think 6 months down the line he's still the number one contender. So it's all about timing. I obviously want to see that fight again. It was a banger, and I don't begrudge Covington a shot, even though he's only coming off that one win. I think he should get the shot. It's just hopefully sooner rather than later. So Edwards isn't waiting another 2 years on the sidelines when he gets this win.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Another welterweight bout right before that one is Damien Meyer versus Belal Muhammad. Obviously, Meyer is coming off what is he coming off? Is he coming off a loss to Burns, his last fight?
I think that was the last fight. I can't remember another one.
Sounds right. And then Belal Muhammad obviously coming off the eye poke disqualification against Edwards there. Unfortunate thing in that fight, but let's be honest, he was losing that fight. It could have looked like it was on a real bad trajectory when it got stopped from that eye poke. So he got a chance to redeem himself in this big fight against Meyer. Do you think he can get it done?
I think this is the fight to make. Obviously, Bilal is on a streak. He's looked great. He's very marketable fighter. He's a nice guy and all these things. But he jumped straight into that Rocky fight, and for me, he went ready and he was getting pieced up, and it was something of a mismatch. So I was glad that they didn't try and book that again because I like to see fighters go the progressive route, and I think Damien Mayer is the perfect fight for him right now. It's a big name, but someone who's potentially past their prime. We all know what Damien Meyer wants to do. He wants to drag it to the mat and choke it out. So keep it on the feet. I think there's a very clear route to victory for Belal Muhammad. I think this could be his coming out party if he goes out there and makes a statement by knocking Meyer out as well. So yeah, I'm backing Belal. I think I am something of an ageist, and once people get into the 40s, I'm usually not backing them to win. And Meyer does seem to be a bit past it at this point, but he's such a talented BJJ player that you'd never count him off, especially against Belal Muhammad, who is not necessarily a top level welterweight quite yet.
If you're betting on props this weekend, I would take Meyer by submission, because when I looked at the odds, they were they were really good odds to bet on. I know it's like a weird thing in the US. It's like plus whatever. Don't understand that, but that was the one I saw that you should be betting on. So if you're Team Meyer, that's the way to win it, right? He's not going to win it on the feet, in my opinion. He might be able to take him down and just hold him there, but Muhammad's takedown defense has looked pretty good. Like he's looked like he's a bit of a wrestler in his own right at some points throughout his career, But yeah, he's definitely going to want to keep it on the feet. He can definitely outstrike Meyer. I don't know who I pick in this fight, though, because I do think Meyer will find a way to get it to the ground at some point in this fight, and I don't see Muhammad knocking Meyer out. So it's a tough one to pick, but I would probably... Look, final pick on this one, I'm taking Muhammad as well. I think it's just an easier way for him to win there.
Yeah, I think there's only one clear route. I don't think Damien Meyer is going to outstrike him. I don't think he's necessarily going to be able to out-grapple him for 3 rounds or anything like that. So I think the way he gets it done is he gets the fighter on the mat really early while they're both dry and syncs up something. The longer this fight goes, I do think it works against me. So that's why I'm picking Belal, just because I feel like he's got a few different ways he can get this done. I think he's capable of getting the knockout. I also think he's capable of, resisting the takedowns and getting a decision win as well. So that's why I give him the edge. But it's a perfect fight for him right now. I really do. I like this fight. I think for Muhammad, I'm sure he wants that rematch with Rocky, but this is the right fight, the right time, and the right name, and I think he was quite happy to get it. So, good luck to both men.
100%. And starting opening the main card, we have Paul Craig taking on Jamel Hill, another striker versus grappler. Paul Craig is going to want to find a submission here. Jamel Hill is going to want to try and find a knockout here. Which one wins?
It's hard to go against Hill at the minute, isn't he? Looks like the guy. He looks like the guy at 205. He absolutely steamed OSP last time. Paul Craig's the next step, but Paul Craig is just one of them guys you can never count out. He's getting dominated by Ankalaev the whole fight. Last second, he sinks up a triangle choke. So he's a very tough guy to go in with, especially for these young prospects. I think Hill's only 8-0, 8-0, 9-0, something like that. So Paul Craig is just a bag of tricks, a veteran. He's just got all these things that he could potentially do on you. So you've just got to be careful. I would give the edge to Hill, but you would never count out Paul Craig. He's always in there until the last second.
Look, if Craig wins this fight, I'll tell you how it goes down. Hill injures him, he falls to his back, Hill jumps his guard and gets submitted. I can't see Craig out wrestling Hill. I can't see Craig knocking Hill out, but I can definitely see him finding submission off his back at some point in this fight. So bar Hill getting a bit over aggressive and playing the guard game, I think he should probably get this one done quite handily.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Paul Craig. You think he's hurt, and then he's not, and you're tapping out. So it's he's such an exciting fight to watch. One of the most exciting fighters in that division, and I think it's a great test for Hill. Undefeated. I think he is a young prospect, but I think he's in his 30s or just about 30. So he's got, he's not young, and he's got to start building these wins quick. So I think Paul Craig, once he gets past that test, and it really is a big test, he can start looking at the top 10 guys and start moving through the division. So Hill will want to make a statement, but he's also got to be careful of being too overzealous and getting caught.
Yeah, and so the feature prelim, we got Drew Dober taking on Brad Riddell. which has fight of the night all over it. Should be a stand-up war, this one. I think if I break this one down, I think Riddell's probably more of a technical striker, but I think Dober's just got more power in his hands. Who do you think has the advantage in the stand-up in this one? Because I can't imagine we're going to get grappling fight here.
Yeah, I would give the edge to Dober just because he's kind of mixed it at a slightly higher level. You know, Brad Riddell, he's got a brilliant record, but I think this is probably the toughest fight of his career. I'm sure you'd agree. So, whereas I think Dober's been in there with a lot of good fighters. So Alexander Hernandez, Nasrat, you know, Josh Berkman, Scott Holtzman. These are all the fighters that I think, you know, will stand them in good stead for this fight. You know, I think he'll just edge it out, and hopefully we get a fight tonight, as you said.
Yeah, and look, he might not have a lot of experience in MMA, but he has a really extensive kickboxing record. He's been there with some of the best kickboxers, especially in the Oceania, Asia region. So I think that in terms of striking, he probably has more experience than Dober. But MMA is a different ballgame, so how does it translate? That's the real question, because Dober's not going to sit there and stand with him if he's losing. He's going to mix it up with wrestling. He's going to try all kinds of things. So this is a really interesting fight. Like, it's hard for me to make a pick in this one because there's so many X factors, especially in regards to who's got the better grappling in this fight, because we haven't really seen either of these guys grapple. So do you think that plays a factor, or do you expect it to just be a stand and bang for 15 minutes?
I think I think the way to beat Dober is clearly get him on the mat. He's been subbed 4 times, is it? Yeah, 4 times. Yeah, 4 times he's been subbed. All of them in the UFC, I think. So yeah, his last 4 losses, I think, have all been by submission. So I think that's the way to do it. But you know, so this is a perfect match of him against a kickboxer who's not necessarily known for his for his takedowns or his grappling or anything like that. So I think both men will be really confident. You know, as you said, he's Brad Riddell's got really good credentials in terms of his kickboxing, and so is Drew Dober in terms of MMA striking. So I think they'll be happy to stand the bang, and both of them will fancy themselves to knock the other guy out.
Yeah, well, moving on down the prelims, we have, I think it's a rematch between Eric Anders and Darren Stewart. Did this not end in a legal knee disqualification? Am I correct?
It was a no contest. I don't know why it was a no contest, because it was like a week after.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was a week after the other one.
Look, I'm looking at the card on Wikipedia, on the Google thing, so it could be incorrect, but it says here light heavyweight. Is that something?
Oh yeah, it says it on mine as well. Maybe it was a last minute one, and they both decided not to cut, I think.
I mean, Eric Anders is support there.
Yeah, especially in COVID times, I think a lot of the time, if it's late notice and people just need to, you know, get the fight, and they don't want to cut weight, and they're both middleweights, it's not like anyone's going to have a particular advantage from this. So it's not like Eric Anders looked like a beast at 205 pounds either. So yeah, I'm guessing that's what they've done, and it was last minute, but I don't think it'll take away anything from the fight. It looked like to be a barn burner. This would be my prediction for fight tonight. It was heating up last time, and Eric Anders was unlucky in the sense that he seemed to have Stewart on the ropes. It's just that he got a bit, you know, over keen to throw that knee. For me, he should have been disqualified. You know, if we're sticking with it, was intentionally, he did mean to throw it, but for some reason he wasn't disqualified, and we get a no contest, which I'd actually prefer the no contest. But if we're gonna give these rules, we need to be consistent with them. So they're either both no contests or they're both disqualifications, not one or the other. And that's the way MMA reffing is, isn't it, at the minute?
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see what adjustments either party can make from that first fight. And like you said, Anders was seeming to be dominating the duration of what went on. But yeah, hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully we get a bit of a war in that one. Before that, we had the women's flyweight fight, which has actually a bit of title implications on this one. Lauren Murphy taking on Joanne Calderwood. Thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Whoever wins this, I think, is getting the next shot at Valentina. When our guy James Lynch spoke to her just after the last win, I think she was targeting November as her return date, so it all just lines up really nicely. Lauren Murphy is on a brilliant little streak. I think she's maybe four or five wins on the bounce in that division. Let me just check. Yeah, 4 wins she's on, and that's a tough division. You know, as I always say, that flyweight division, you're all capable of beating each other, and so to put 4 back to back together, I think really impressive. And Joanne Calderwood, you know, let that chance slip just last year when she was meant to get the fight, and then she ended up getting subbed by Meyer. So this is another chance for her. She always seems to be knocking on the door, but she can't put any type of streak together. So I think she won the last one against Jessica Ide. She looked really, really good in that one. If she can beat Lauren Murphy, she gets the shot, and I think that's what the UFC would want, because JoJo's very marketable. I think she's got a big fan base in the UK and Scotland. So I'm edging towards her. Obviously, she's one of ours. So, and I really do like her. I think she's brilliant. And if this is on the feet, I think she can pick Lauren Murphy apart over 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me to pick, but just to have some diversity in our picks, I'm going to take Lauren Murphy in this one, and we'll see who ends up winning that. I'll hand it over to you then to pick out any other prelims you want to chat about.
Well, obviously Chase Super's on the card, which is always fun. He's been training with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, which is exactly what he needed, really, wasn't it? And I think so. We could come in. When Ryan Hall surprised everyone, just come in with that karate style and started putting it on. We could see something like that from Chase Super today. He's a young kid. He's obviously very talented and athletic. So a few months with the Wonderboy camp could do wonders for his career, and I think he needs that, because he's very, very hittable, and it's a worry as a young man competing in the UFC against all these killers. It's a worry to see how much damage he's took already in his UFC career. So I'm hoping to see him win and continue the great streak, because last time he got that heel hook or the leg lock or whatever he got, it was fantastic. So looking forward to seeing him and what changes he makes. And then open up the card, we got a big heavyweight fight between Carlos Felipe and Jake Collier. So 2 of the bigger guys in the division, and like I wrote Jake Collier off after his fight against Tom Aspinall, but I think last time he looked really good, and I ate my word. So although he's not naturally a heavyweight and he probably does need to cut a bit, he looked good last time, and I'm looking forward to the fight, because Carlos Felipe is he's the guy who. Yeah, he beat Justin Taffer, didn't he? We were speaking about that not long ago. Yeah, so he's looked good. I expect him to win, actually. He's got to win over De Castro and Taffer. His only loss is to Spivak, who's a really good talent, and that was a majority decision. So I am looking forward to that one. Heavyweight fighters opening up the card, and I think if Carlos wants to be mixing it with the likes of Spivak in the future, he'll be taking out Collier quite quickly.
Well, that pretty much wraps up UFC 263 there. We'll move on to a bit of news before we wrap it up. Should be a bit of a shorter one, since the last episode was 45 minutes or whatever. First piece of news, Alistair Overeem signs with Glory Kickboxing again after his departure from the UFC. Good move to go to kickboxing, do you think?
Love it. I love that move. I feel like it's the right move. I'm sure it's not the most lucrative move. I feel like he's done it for the love of the sport more than money, and because all these, they're not. It's not usually Glory who are picking up these free agents. It's Bellator, it's bare knuckle fighting, it's these type of organizations. So I feel like he's gone to Glory just because he loves kickboxing and that's how he wants to finish his career. So I think it's the perfect move for him. I'm hoping he's getting a boatload of money. He's Alistair Overeem. I'm sure it's not a bad payday, but great move. Great to see him there.
And I'll ask you, did you catch the second episode of The Ultimate Fighter?
No, I haven't been watching it. I tend to binge it just before the finale. So whenever the finale is, a couple of days before, I'll try and I hate doing this weekly thing. I'm a Netflix guy. I'm now, or I'll wait for it. So yeah, I'll wait until the end of the series, like a week or two before, and then I'll just go through it all in a couple of nights.
Fair enough. So we won't talk about that. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but
no spoilers.
Yeah, we'll tell you though. Alexander versus Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega is booked for UFC 266. It should be in September, if my addition is correct. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I've just been writing a story about this. So it's confusion about the dates and where it'll take place, because right now it's booked for September 4th, but the plan is to host a UFC London show on September 4th now. So it's that's going to get pushed back. And Dana White told, I think it was Kevin Iole, that he was saying late September is when that fight's going to be. So UFC 266. But yeah, it's shaping up already to be a monster card, because we've got Jan Blachowicz on there against Glover Teixeira. We've got this title fight. I've seen another fight I would quite like the look of on there. I'm sure I'll find that later. But yeah, great card. I hope we get dates nailed in soon. Obviously, I know it's tough with everything that's going on in the world, but we're gonna see that fight 266, and it just adds to a great night of fights.
And hope that's in London, like we said last time. What else have I got here? Let me have a look. Nick Diaz is going to make his return. We've already spoke about that, but we'll touch on it again. Thoughts?
Yeah, brilliant. I'm glad to see Dana White's on board because, you know, but he's just it took him a while for some reason. It took him a while, and he doesn't think Diaz is serious, but now he does. So I think it's always been very clear that he's serious. The type of shape he's in right now, the fact that he's done a test cut to 175 or 165 or whatever he cut to, he's clearly very serious. He looks in fantastic shape, and I can't wait to see him back. I think he's still got a lot to offer. It's just about the right fights, as we said last time. Getting him in the right fights. Do not book him against Chimaev or someone like this. Book him against someone on his own level. We want the Condits, we want the Cerrones, we want all these fights, and I think Dana White is reluctant to do them type of fights, just for the fans. But I think it's the right move, and I hope that's what we get.
All right, that wraps up all the news I had. Anything you got before we end this?
No, don't think so. We've got some good cards coming up this weekend. We won't get into them too much, but we've got PFL, we've got Bellator, lot going on, and back to pure MMA. None of this YouTube stuff this week. It's pure MMA, and I think UFC 263 is going to show you why everyone loves MMA, because it's absolutely stacked card. Three massive fights on the main card, and lots of fun ones to enjoy while we wait. So yeah, brilliant card, and I can't wait for it.
Should be a good one. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll speak to you next week to recap all the action.
Thanks, guys.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.